Hello, everyone. This is Robert with the Watching It podcast. We're a show that covers TV and movies. Join me and my co-host Donnell each week to talk about shows like Loki, The Lower Decks, Snowpiercer, Palm Springs, and Collateral. You can find us at watchingitpod.com or anywhere you get your podcast.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Thanks for joining the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe.
On this show, we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear.
That means we're going to talk about some of the best movies from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s.
So thank you for joining us. Now let's get it started in here. Hi, this is Zach.
And this is Zoe, and welcome to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. And this is the 49th episode. I did it. I remembered it this time. And I got the correct episode number because I think a couple episodes ago, got the wrong episode number. I got the right episode number. I remembered to do the episode number. I did it. I'm king. I'm king of the world.
Proud of yourself with that, huh?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy about that. So the reason we started this show was to strengthen bond between my son Zach and me, Zoe. We watched movies that I loved when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and the early 90s, and we get Zach's impressions on these great movies.
If you like our show, then rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, podchaser.com, or your favorite podcast app.
And please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can find the details in the show notes. So, what have you been up to lately? What have you watched? What have you watched? What games you play? What you went up to? What books you read? You read books?
Well, I think I already told you, but I went ahead and binge watched One Piece and also had to read the manga so I can actually be up to date on what's going on. And when I mean I had to binge watch and read, I really mean it.
Oh, so you really did a deep dive.
Yeah, because there was like a lot of pages I had to read, and I was like, my brain and my eyes are going to hate me for this, especially at work. And guarantee, yeah, they hated me for it.
Because I had to talking to them at work about it?
No, I just had to like look at my phone when I wait on a plane, and I have to and I'm reading at a fast pace. Sometimes I have to zoom in, sometimes not, but I'm reading at a fast pace that I'm making sure I'm getting every detail down while making sure I can just be done with that one chapter or just be done with whatever I'm trying to get through.
So what app are you using to read the comic?
I'm on a website, my friends. So again, I would have to go and buy it. I don't think the books are translated yet, so they are digitally translated from other people. So yeah, there's that.
Right. So I've because I use Comixology and Marvel Universe. What's it called? Not Marvel Universe. It's called Marvel
Unlimited.
Unlimited, right? So with Comixology. Oh, and I also use there's Google has Google Books, but I only have a couple of books on Google Books, but they all kind of function the same way. So the only manga I've read on Comixology is Alita. What's it called? Alita One Angel, Battle Angel Alita.
I know what you're talking about, but I
can't remember the name of it. But so in that one, I think because you got like the English translation version already, so whatever books that were brought over to the U.S., those are the books that are on Comixology. So I got that translated version. So I'm not really worried about the translation.
Yeah, good for you, because sometimes I have to worry about because it's like a 50-50 on it being accurate.
Right.
Sometimes not. And it's like, I'll just have to roll with it. I just need to hurry up and catch up.
Speaking of translation, have you heard of Squid Game?
Yeah, I heard about it, and I basically spoiled how I thought it was a game.
You thought it was an actual game?
Yeah, I was like, Squid Game, that sounds like an instant game because it was like Roblox was on it. I was like, okay.
Right.
But no, it's a movie TV series, something like that. And I'm like,
it's a TV series.
TV series. And I'm like, oh, well, I spoiled it. Thanks for watching Mojo. I didn't know. And
not only that, but it's like everybody's doing something. I even seen a skit, like these skits that these it's like 4 black dudes, right? 4 or 5,
right?
And another POC. I think he's Indian or something. And they and I've seen a lot of the older skits. They normally do like manga, something like that, manga related skits. And they already got a Squid Game skit up. I was like, oh my God, maybe I should watch it. They already got a Squid Game skit up. Like they got this one skit where they got to fight this dude. No, here's the skit. So these two dudes meet each other, right? And you know, they just talking, they rapping right now. They, you know, they just meeting each other for the first time, looking like they developing a friendship. All of a sudden, the enemy of one of the dudes comes along. And the second dude's like, "Don't worry, I got this." But we just met, man. It's like, "No, I got this." And he kills the dude's enemy. It's like, man, it wasn't even like it wasn't. Right. You didn't even have to do that. And so they keep walking along, and they meet another dude, but the other dude kills him. And the dude talking about avenge me. It's like, we just met, dude. What you talking about avenge me? We just met. So they do a lot of manga stuff, but they already got a Squid Game skit up. So I'm thinking I should go ahead and watch this. But then it's also come out that the Korean is a Korean series. The Korean translation is kind of messed up on the English, right? So it's not exactly as it should be. They even got some Korean Americans actually going and retranslating what it's supposed to say versus what they put down, what you get in the official version, right?
Yeah.
So apparently, the what they think happened is that, because they have an English dub version, right?
Yeah.
So when they did the English dub, instead of translating what the actual Koreans are saying, when they do the subtitles, what they did was they just translated they just used the English dub version and then put it in the English.
That's just lazy work. That's
yes,
how you know it's lazy.
Yes, it's lazy. It's lazy and stupid. I don't know what they was thinking or why they did that.
They're thinking that people aren't going to care and dig deep into it, but they should know better. Because
I guess they didn't.
You have people like me who will end up watching both the sub and the dub to compare the two. And when it comes to that type of topic, I will always and honestly choose the subtitles over the dubbing.
Right. Especially what you call it when you look at what was that?
Like anime, space.
Yeah, the anime that you gave me
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop. I forgot to write that down. And Cowboy Bebop, the subtitle version is way different than. Well, it's not way different. It's a lot different.
They have different wording for how it would be in an American.
No, they
version.
curse a lot more.
Well, yeah, there's also they curse a lot more. There is that.
In Japan, they not shy about cursing. They curse a lot in the English in the English subtitles they curse a lot versus the English translations that they market to kids that they play on like Cartoon Network or whatever.
I mean, you do have like I think 2 episodes from Pokemon that wasn't aired, and one of them was basically like this bikini contest where James, for some reason, had implanted breast on, and another one is when this old dude pulled out a gun on Ash and his friends, and I'm like, yeah, I can see why that wouldn't be over here in America,
right.
Because you can be like, there's guns in Pokemon,
right.
Okay,
right, yeah.
Even though they pulled out guns before and didn't censor them. Another one is Yu-Gi-Oh, where if you pay attention, they're just holding their hands out like they're holding something. But you don't know what they're holding. But they're supposed to be holding guns.
Right.
But because they edited it out, it doesn't look like that. They just hold it like this. I'm like, that hands look weird.
Right.
And it looks so wrong.
Yeah, the Americans are way sensitive.
Another one. It's like, again, back to One Piece. There's a character named Sanji. And in the Japanese version, he is smoking. He is smoking a cigarette, and I believe he's a teenager too.
Right.
But in America, they're like, let's change that to a lollipop. They're not gonna. Another character's name is Smoker.
Right.
And he does have cigars to smoke, but they're like, no, he doesn't have cigars to smoke.
Right.
But you see it on him.
Right.
So I'm like, you can't just tell me he doesn't smoke.
I guess they're trying to say that, well, they don't know what that is. They just some brown things on the drawing. But as long as he's not smoking, they don't look like cigars.
Here's the worst part. His devil fruit powers is basically turning to smoke.
Right. Well, he's called Smoker, so. But what's funny is that they don't, obviously over here, they don't want to see kids smoking.
Kids smoking, anything.
When you go, when you do a deep dive into smoking, one of the things that cigarette companies would do, especially in the 70s, is they would try to get kids hooked on cigarettes. They're still kind of trying to do it, especially
I seen the commercial with the Flintstones, so.
Well, no, the Flintstones is actually a cartoon for adults. The Flintstones was back in the day was like the Simpsons are today, or actually closer to something like Family Guy or even Rick and Morty. It was really for adults. It wasn't for kids specifically. They aired it at nighttime, and with the other sitcoms, the family sitcoms. So it was the Simpsons was more like a family sitcoms, and back then, when they were advertising smoke, they was like, "Oh, it's good for your health. You can smoke in the hospital." The doctors were actually prescribed cigarettes to people. It was a whole thing. So what was the other thing? So it wasn't a big deal then. But what I mean is that like when you think about like 7-Eleven, you think of it as a convenience store, but in actuality, it was, especially back in the day, it was marketing cigarettes to kids because all the cigarette ads were like below the counter, like so they would have posters of people smoking cigarettes at a height where kids could easily see them, right? So they were really trying to get kids hooked on smoking, and in the movies, and they didn't really have smoking and cartoons like that, but they did have a lot of smoking in what you call it, the movies, making it look cool and acceptable. But now it's not like that anymore, right? So you've been binging One Piece, so that's good.
That.
You're getting into reading again.
Sure, you can say that. I'm just doing it so I can catch up.
Well, that's all. I mean, you should follow your interest, but you really should read more. I'm glad you're doing it.
Let's see. I've been playing the new Far Cry game that came out.
Far Cry 6.
Yep.
How are you feeling about that?
It's not bad. It's just Far Cry. That's
what I heard. I was listening to this other podcast, and it was like, well, it's a good game, but it's more Far Cry. It's like,
that's basically it. If you play like Far Cry 4, the Far Cry 5, it's like, yeah, I'm just here roaming around killing people,
right?
Saving other people, is whatever.
Right.
I'm just doing is just get it out the way.
Right.
At least the one thing I don't have to worry about is honey badgers because I hate them. I hated honey badgers. I hated snakes. Mainly honey badgers and snakes.
Right.
Eagles not a worry because I can hear them, but with the snakes, I'm like, I don't see them until they bite me. Honey badgers, they just like, oh, you're a human. I'm going to fight you. And I'm like, I'm just going through.
Yeah, honey badgers are kind of like European Wolverine, right? So I think they have honey badgers over in kind of Europe, and over here they have Wolverine, and they got kind of like the same attitude.
The same attitude. I'm like, I'm just walking, minding my own business, and I just hear the noise. I'm like, what? Why? Why you come after me? Like, it's like, and it wastes your bullets. It's like a sponge until it actually dies.
Did you see the MDIA video about honey badgers?
I believe
he talked about a bunch of animals.
Yeah, I believe I seen him on how basically they're similar but different on how they act.
Right.
But they're still, they just treat everyone equally.
Right.
Everyone can catch the hands.
Right.
I'm like, of course, because they don't care.
Right.
They will fight to the death if they want to.
Yeah. They ain't got no quit. So what was that thing? So you're playing Far Cry. So how far along you in that one?
Well, me and my friend, we're playing on co-op, so we're just waiting so we can play together.
Right.
Right now with the what do you call them? Not liberals. Revolutionaries, I guess.
Right.
Because you're trying to overthrow.
Libertadores.
Yeah, you're
like
guerrillas. Guerreras.
Guerreras.
Yeah, guerreras.
You remember who else is a guerrera?
No, not really.
Like Eddie Guerrera.
Stop.
And
no, that's not.
That's how you supposed to say his name. They didn't say his name like that.
I know that.
That's how you supposed to say his name. Who was his cousin or son? Who was that dude? His brother? I forgot.
His
Chavez Guerrera.
Yeah, his nephew.
Guerrera.
But
his
yeah,
nephew, right? His nephew.
You're basically you're not originally with them at first. You're just doing it so you can get off the island and go to America. But then you're like,
aren't you supposed to be the son of that dictator, or is that somebody else?
That's someone else. That's
okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's not the player character.
No.
Oh, okay. So you somebody else.
You're somebody else, and you're like, okay,
trying
sure.
to get to America.
Now you're like, I'm gonna go help because they killed my friend. They killed someone else, so I'm gonna go ahead and help. Blah blah blah.
Right.
So now we just recruit. Now I guess trying to get this whole new, because when you first start, you're on a small island,
right? And
you go to a different island, like okay, and then you're going to go to another island which is bigger. And you're like,
right.
Of course this was gonna happen. I knew it was. It's not that easy for you people, is it? You just had to make it a big old island with jungles and danger for me to do it.
Right.
So I'm on one island trying to get one group of people to join us, but in order for them to join us, I have to help them with their problem. Then I'm gonna move to another island, do the same thing. Third island. And then finally I can go to the fourth island where I can be like, oh, look, the dictator, whoop-de-doo, now I can deal with him.
Right.
Although I feel like there was a part where it could have been like, because usually when it came to Far Cry, there was always an option to go to basically like stay or do the mission. Like in Far Cry, I think it was 4, you had the option to, what was it? Because I know in 5 you had the option to arrest the guy. 4, you had the option to stay there and wait for Megan Ping to come back. or just leave and figure out what's going on. And if you stay, he comes back, lets you spread your mother asses, and then you can go about your business, go home.
Right.
That was the end of the game if you stay. For 5, if you handcuff the guy, you and your teams get their helicopter destroyed, and then you have to find your teammates. But if you don't arrest them, then you all just leave, and then your the sheriff is disappointing you because you didn't arrest them. It's like, you know what, you must have had a gut feeling. I had a gut feeling too something was gonna happen. Let's just go.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure there was an option of what to do, but I guess I didn't pay attention. Because I'm just like, all right, screw it, let's go.
Right. So, but that didn't end the game.
No.
Oh, okay.
I just continued on. So I was like, okay.
Right.
And you don't get to do co-op until, like, I think the 3rd mission is done. So after the 3rd mission, then you can do co-op. And you're like, okay, good.
So now both of y'all are deep into it.
Both of us are on the same mission now. So
right.
So when we're done playing with somebody, we get on that, play about 2 missions, and then get off.
Did you get the digital copy?
I got the digital copy.
Okay.
I was like,
you playing on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, it's like you're filling up your activities, and I can appreciate the reading of the comics. That's mainly how I learned to read, is through comics. That's where I get my vocabulary from. You know how you build your vocabulary? You read the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four, because it's a science comic team. They got a bunch of vocabulary.
So you're gonna use words that you don't even know what they mean.
Some of those, no, actually, you can figure out what they mean in context, and some of them are fake. So the real problem is figuring out what the fake gobbledygook is from like the real science words and Star Trek. So it's a combination, because the Star Trek could throw a bunch of fake gobbledygook. I forgot the words, the specific term that they use for the fake science words that they have on Star Trek. Technobabble, that's what it's called. So you got to discern the technobabble from the real actual science terms. But other than that, yeah, that's how you build your vocabulary. So what I've been doing, bouncing off you. So you know about this. I went out and got a new laptop because I learned that laptops and water do not get along. They hate each other.
Of course they do. They always hate each other.
So tried to get my laptop repaired. Tried to take it to U-Break iFix. They were unable, supposed to take it to Sherion. Sherion sent it back. And I just thought that they tried to fix it and they couldn't. But when I read the note says they didn't try to fix it at all.
Yeah, I told you that they was like, oh, we didn't even try to fix it. I was like,
my God.
That's why I told you they just came back with the screws off the bat. And I'm like, why?
Well, that's how the store did it. The store did it that way.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, the store is just a branch of Sherion. So Sherion is the insurance company, and U-Break iFix is just a subsidiary of the insurance companies that they try to fix your electronics there. They try to get you hooked on a Sherion. That's what they're there for. They're not there to fix your electronics. They're trying to sell you the Sherion service, which is pretty good, but it's kind of clunky. So I sent it, and I think that their repair service is probably at like a FedEx facility. I don't think it goes all the way back to their whatever headquarters. I think they try to fix it at a FedEx facility, and then and I guess they saw that the screws were out, and then they sent it back talking about somebody tried to repair it. Yeah, you tried to repair it. Your company tried to repair it. That's why it looks like this. You a-holes. So,
and apparently they didn't get the notice that they were supposed to keep it and then try to actually fix it.
Right.
But
so now I gotta call a special department and have them fix the laptop, and it's kind of a headache. I don't like dealing with them. It's been a lot of back and forth. You know, U-Break iFix, the store that I went to, it's really hard to get to and come back from, because along the busiest part of the Beltway, I would have been better off
if you went to the DC one.
No, the DC is just as bad, because now I'm going in the city, and that's definitely a place I don't want to drive. So the only time that it's good to go to that store, actually it would have been better to go to DC, because they open at 10 o'clock, where the store where I'm going to by College Park, Maryland, that opens at 12, which is ridiculous. They open at 12. They now open on Mondays. They're not open on Sunday or Monday. So they just all messed up. So now I'm perplexed. I'm apoplected. I don't understand why they're doing this to me. It's, oh my God. They lucky I don't come in there with a knife, start just, offing people, because they got me running. They got me mad. So anyways, And then there's another nearby store in where we go to the movies. There's another one. I think you saw that. No, you saw a comic book shop, but I'm pretty sure there's one down there, and that's another easier place to get to. But there's a certain time of day when the Beltway, especially on the weekend, it just becomes a parking lot, and I'm not happy about it. Like driving home mad, you just mad on the Beltway, and there's no way to get rid of it.
I mean, with your broken laptop, you decided to go ahead and get something else.
Yeah, I didn't want to wait for them to fix it, so I was like, let me. So I went and I already had Best Buy credit, so I was like, fine, I'm just going to use some more credit. So I used some more credit, and at first I bought what they call an unboxed laptop. So these are laptops that either somebody had taken home and brought back, or laptops that they've been using on display. Most of them are laptops that they use on the display model. So when you go into a Best Buy store, you see all those laptops that are sitting on the counters looking all sexy, trying to get you to buy them. And they're all the laptops are like boo. I don't know. I was trying to say that the Patti LaBelle song, but I'll mess it up. But anyways, they're like, "Come here, seller boy, come and buy me." But anyways, those laptops are the ones that they eventually take and they try to sell to customers. So I got one of those used with me when I did that. I took it home and started using a little bit, and then I realized it had screen burn in. And I had paid like $1,000 for this laptop, and I was like, I can't have a laptop with screen burn in, and I paid $1,000 for that. No, that's no, nay, I say thee nay. It's like, and they're just looking at me in the face, these little ghost images of the what had gone on for a year as they were sitting there waiting for somebody to buy them. So. Took it back, and I was nervous about taking it back because what happened was because I'd used it a little bit, so some of my information is on it, so I don't want to give them a laptop with my information, so I decided to
factory reset it.
Yeah, factory reset it, but it's not as easy as factory resetting on a phone, right? On a phone, you just press the button, it wipes the phone clean, and it comes back, and it's like a blank phone. It's like, do you want to set up this phone in English or Spanish? Like one of those deals. But when I did the laptop, it got stuck in something went wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know what went wrong.
It got stuck in
reboot mode because apparently, usually when something like that happens, it can't find the operating system, so it's stuck in reboot. I was like, no, man, this is gonna suck.
When I came across, I was like, oh, okay, it's rebooting, and it was like, okay, Windows scene, set black screen, trying to reboot. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Are you stuck in a repeating moment? Oh, you are.
I actually let it reboot like most of the night because I think I'm stupid. I'm thinking, well, maybe it just need time, right? But no, it don't need no time. It was broken.
The moment you see it the second time, you should know.
Right.
I gotta take it.
I was holding out hope. So now I'm afraid to take it back because they're gonna look at it like, oh, you broke the laptop. I was like, no, I didn't break it. It's not my fault. So it was like, yeah, we're gonna have to do a what you call it? We'll have to write a claim, or It's like I didn't want to go through all that. I was afraid, but I was like, nope. And so I waited the next day because I was gonna take it back that night, but I wasted that night and then I waited till most of the next day, and finally I took it back. I took it to the same one that I bought it from, and they didn't look at it. It was like, so you bring it back? It's like, yeah, it's got some screen burning. Oh, okay. It's defective. It's like, yeah, it's defective. Okay, yeah, you want to put your money back on your card? Don't worry about it. Do you want to buy another laptop? I was like, yes, I want to buy another laptop.
I want to buy the same one, please.
No, I didn't want to buy the same one.
You got a different one.
Yeah, I got it. No, I just wanted one that kind of fit my parameters. I was looking for. It didn't even have to be a gaming laptop. It just needed to be one that had fairly good specs.
I'd rather have it to be a gaming laptop.
Right. But so, I mean, the only real difference between a gamer laptop and regular laptop is the graphics card. So, but I just wanted, and they're ugly. And I just wanted to get something with fairly good specs. So I'm looking around. And finally I settled on two laptops, neither one of the gaming laptops. So I kind of looked at one, was like, no, look at these two. So one was a HP with a 17-inch screen. I'm like, well, yeah, I could use a 17-inch screen. The other one was a Lenovo that was very similar to the one that I spilled water on. So
you just want to let me get the Lenovo because I wanted to keep the brand. I fell in love with it, especially since I had that Star Wars laptop brand.
Man, yeah. I love that Star Wars laptop. I love that one. So anyways, So I wait for somebody to notice me so they can say, you know,
You just stood there.
do you need some help? So it's like, yeah, I would like to buy this laptop.
Wait. So you just stood there looking at the laptops. What if someone to notice you?
No, it doesn't matter. If they notice me, they'll say, "Can I help you?" So it's like, yes, you can help me buy this laptop over here. That's what I was doing. That was the whole point of me standing there. But finally, somebody came over. Like the first time somebody came over, it's like, no, I'm still looking, right? And so I'm finally waiting. Somebody to come back around, and it's taking them a long time. Because if I had went that morning, it would have been not as many people there, and I could have gotten help sooner. But instead, I waited until later in the afternoon. Now the store is a little bit busy on the weekend, and now I'm having problems getting somebody to notice me. So
you know what a regular person would do? They would have went up to the person like, "Hey, I would like to buy a laptop," but you just standing there.
Probably. But it didn't take that long for them to notice me and come over. And I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to get this laptop." And he took his phone. He kind of scanned the barcode, and he was like, "Oh, we don't have a laptop. You wanted to send it to you?" I was like, "No, I don't want you to send it to me. Got to where I came to the store. If I wanted to receive a laptop in the mail, I would have ordered it off the website like a sane person. Instead, the only reason I'm here is because I had to return a laptop, and since I'm already here, I want to bring a laptop home with me. Why is this laptop sitting on this counter if you ain't got it? Right? Why don't you just put a piece of tape on there talking about unavailable, right? This is wrong.
Employee looking at it, "Hey, Bob, you see that guy? He's just standing there. You want to go over there, talk to him, figure out if he's okay?" "Yeah, like, hi, sir, how you doing?" "Yeah, I like the valve." I thought, "Oh, okay, you want this one?" "Yeah, we don't have that in stock."
Right. I was like, "Okay, that's the problem. No problem. I had 2 choices already picked out. Went over to the second choice. How about this Lenovo?" It's like, "Oh, we don't, the laptops in this row, we don't have none of those." I was like, "What? Oh my God. Why are you doing?" All right. I'm going to have to look around some more. Now, I spent like 30 minutes looking at all the laptops, trying to figure out what I wanted. And I finally picked the ones that I wanted, and they didn't have any. And so now I gotta stay in the store and look around some more. So what I did was I figured out that he was using the Best Buy app to scan the item,
right?
And you can tell which ones are in the store. It'll tell you if the item's in stock or not. I was like, cool. So now I'm looking around laptop. It's like not in stock, or it's in stock maybe at one of these other stores that's like 20 miles away. I was like, oh my God. Now I'm starting getting a headache again. I'm feeling lethargic and unwell. So finally I found this one I'm looking at right now that we're recording the podcast on. It's a Lenovo Legion gaming laptop. It came with a little sticker. It was a little neat sticker. I'm gonna put it on there soon. And it has some pretty decent specs. You know, there's a Ryzen 7 processor and a Radeon graphics card, GeoForce, whatever that is. So I was like, cool, we can do that one. It had 6 in stock. So he has to have it because there are 6 of them and it says so on the app. So now I finally find a dude who's like, yep, I would like this one. It says you have it. And he looks at his phone. It's like, yep, let me go get it for you. And then I proceeded to wait about an hour, him looking for this top. Like at least he came back to check with me. It's like, we know it's here. We still looking for it. Just be patient. We're looking for it and just go out.
That's how you know they're disorganized when they can't find it when it should be there.
Right. So now I'm scanning other laptops to see, maybe I might probably have to go to another store at this point because it's taking him a long time. And just when I decided, and then the last time he came to me, I was like, look, if I'm not here, if I have to leave, I'll let them know that to tell you that I left so you can stop looking for it. Right. Because there's a guy at the counter that's, taking orders or whatever. But then finally, just as I was thinking about leaving, then he came over. He's like, we found it. It was under the wrong, something number,
the wrong serial number,
or whatever. Yeah, it was filed under the wrong number, and so I finally got it. I was like, "Oh, thank you, kind sir, for all the hard work that you and your team did to find this 1 out of 6 laptops."
Winning as a hopeful man, almost came out as a broken man.
Right. And trudging this, but it was in the box because I ain't got to worry about screen burn. Trudging this laptop home. I haven't had any problems with it. Bonus that it came with 1 month free of Xbox Game Pass, and I was like, okay, Okay, let me try this out.
You enjoy that Game Pass until they're like, hey, your Xbox Game Pass running. You want to actually fork over some money for this thing?
I'm just trying it out. Just looking at it, you know.
That month over was like, hey, Microsoft here, you want to fork over that money now? We know that you've been playing a lot of games.
I'm like, and for those you don't know, because we talk about games, but this isn't really a gaming. This isn't a gaming podcast. So for those you don't know, Xbox Game Pass is like Netflix, but for games. Now I've been hearing this concept, and I was like, do I want to do a Netflix for games? How would that work? And now
if we're going to do that, we might as well get an Xbox One X or whatever.
I mean, you can do some of these games are available on your phone, or you can do it on your gaming computer.
You already know my computer is complete garbage, and I don't trust it enough.
The computer that you built is garbage? What's wrong? Is it the
remember, it's sometimes I don't know what it is, because sometimes it goes to blue screen, and I'm like, I hate this blue screen ever, and it's stupid.
It's probably the Windows. That's what happens when you buy the what do you call that? What's the word I'm looking for? When you buy the ghetto version of Windows.
I mean, it's official because I checked, and it's like, yeah, this is an official product.
Yeah, I know. It's
because it's like the official key and everything. I was like, okay, because I bought the key.
Right. But you know how it is sometimes. But if you some of the games you can play on your phone.
Yeah, there's some games,
but not all. And some games will have a low enough graphics, like the older games, you could probably play on a competent computer. Like especially like something like Killer Instinct, I could have probably played that on my earlier computer because it's so old. But it has a number of games on there. There's like classics all the way up to like Xbox S.
The newer generation, the current generation.
Yeah, the current generation of games. So I was like, well, let me try a couple of these games. So to really kind of test out the laptop, the first game I downloaded was Wolfenstein 2, because I did Wolfenstein. So now I got the Wolfenstein 2, and it plays pretty good. It's got one of the most, it's up to like PlayStation 4 or Xbox One standards. So that's really the previous generation. But the laptop didn't really seem to struggle with it. It was like, yeah, I got this. I got, and so I'm tempted to maybe try Cyberpunk, but I know that's a bad idea because you need a supercomputer to run Cyberpunk. So that might not be a great idea. But something newer, like I can't think of like maybe I don't know what's out for Xbox One.
You have
Series
Far
S.
Cry 6. That's one of them.
Far Cry 6. Oh, it's not. I don't think.
Yeah,
because
you have Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X.
Xbox is notorious for not coming out with like the bomb games when they release their system.
I mean, all you have to do is wait for Halo like everyone else.
Yeah.
Or you can go in your car and practice driving.
Right. Let's see. I'm trying to think. There's no. The only thing that's really out that only really the Xbox S can play, or X or S can play, is the Cyberpunk 77, but barely anything can play that one. So I can't think of anything right now off the top of my dome that I can test this computer on. But as far as like the previous generation, apparently runs those like a champ. And then I tried this one called Hades. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I heard of it.
And it was like, and I was playing a little bit. I was like, meh. I think it's called what is it called? It is called, I don't know. It's something where you die over and over again, and you go back to the beginning of the game, and then you try it again. I forgot what they call it. It's a specific roguelike. It's a roguelike game because you start over. Because whenever you die, you get one life, and then when you die, you start from the very beginning. But in this particular game, when you start from the beginning, you power up your man because you collect whatchamacallits throughout your play, and then when you die, you go back to the beginning and you collect whatever power-ups or rewards or whatever from the beginning, and then you start out again, and you're in Hades, and the whole goal is to get out of Hades. So it's neat, but I'm like, meh. I heard talk about, man, this game is so great, but I'm like, eh. And then I I decided to try Shark Eater. It's like, I always wanted to play. Oh, Man Eater.
I would say Man Eater.
It's called Man Eater, and I always wanted to try that game because in this game you play a shark, and your goal is to eat people. I was like, well, let me.
I mean, you're not supposed to, like, if you eat people, then you're just putting yourself in danger because
that's part of the goal. Like, they give you missions, and one of the missions, like one of the first missions, is to eat 10 people on the beach. So you're a big shark, you jump onto the beach and you attack people. And then the other part of the game is that sometimes you have to fight the people that are hunting you. And so it's called ship battle. So it's like they're shooting at you with harpoons. You're trying to dodge the harpoon, jump over, and then attack the people on the ship. And then another part of the mission of the game is attacking other animals. So I got beat by a crocodile and the last time I played through. So he got me. I got. So that's most of what I'm doing. Plus, I finally finished the book The Witcher, where I didn't realize it was the last book in the series, and it was kind of a meh book, as I don't understand why. And I must need to read like the earlier, like the first book, because going through this book, it was all right. It was kind of like a collection of stories that kind of had a binding narrative, an overall mission that he's doing, and he's got these submissions while he's doing the overall mission. And it was all right. It wasn't like a whole lot of character development or whatever. It didn't really have a lot of meat on it.
I mean, yeah, of course. If it's the end of the book, of course, it's not going to be no character development.
I mean,
that's what the first few books are for.
No,
it's for the character development.
I've read other books where I read to the end and they had better character development on the
well,
end
this
of the
guy
series.
said, "I don't want to do that."
I'm pretty sure the whole series is like that, but I want to go ahead and read the first book and see if I feel differently about it. And then I started reading Thor comics, specifically when there was a female, what's her name, Jane Foster, when Jane Foster became Thor. So I'm going through that, and that's pretty interesting. And I'm looking at Lower Decks and What If, and those are two fantastic series. And then I still got this old note from the last time about replaying 7 hours.
Yeah, I noticed. I was like, does he have to do again of 7 hours because he decided?
No, I got past that. I'm all good with that. So yeah, that's what. And then I got hooked. I got hooked on this YouTube video series by the lock picking lawyer, where basically it's this dude that all he does is pick locks. I don't know if he does it professionally or he just does it as a hobby. But
I think I know you're talking about, because one of the letters he got was like, "Hey, I told this other guy about you. He said he didn't believe it. Could you prove him wrong?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure,
I
can
saw
do
that
it."
one. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw it by myself. Yeah, I was like, okay, cool.
So I must be getting your suggestions, because it just showed up on my feed one day. I was like, let me look at this. I was like, and then I looked at like 6 videos in a row, because the videos are short, like 4 or 5 minutes long, so it's easy to consume. Sometimes, like one time he took this lock, he's like, yeah, it looks like it's good construction, and it's got this feature, and it's got this feature, but really all you have to do is shake it, and then you can open the lock. I was like, oh my God. But there's one where he took this lock, the lock with the roller numbers on the bottom of the lock. He said, yeah, this is a pretty secure lock, but really all you have to do is feel the numbers. You can feel the pins, and you can figure out the combination just by feeling it. And he just felt the thing and, felt the rollers, and it was able to open the lock just by feeling on the rollers, and he found the combination that way. And he did this thing where he turned the lock upside down so neither you or he could see it, and he rolled the thing with his thumb so he would get a random combination, because you can reset the combination. The lock is designed where if you turn the lock a certain kind of way without a key, you can reset the combination,
right?
And you turn and close the lock, and he closed the lock. So without knowing the combination, he was able to just feel the rollers in the bottom and figure out the combination of the lock. I was like, man, this guy is a magician. So I got hooked on that. And of course, I mentioned earlier this guy, MDIA. He goes by MDIA 97 or MDIA _97 on TikTok. He also has a YouTube channel under Casual Geographic. And he talks about animals, and I'm hooked on that dude just because of the way he talks about animals. And he was able to get his impersonator banned on
Off
Instagram, right? Because there was somebody who was taking his videos off of TikTok, like copy his TikTok videos, put it on their own Instagram account, and then use his name, and then impersonate him, thus getting all of the revenue or the audience. He basically robbing his audience from him so he can get the revenue from it.
And the worst part about it, when you look at the comments, even though you can't comment on it, it was like you have a bunch of people thinking that's really him. I'm like, I feel so bad for
right. So he got. So what happened was he appealed to his audience that knew that fake, and they got enough complaints that Instagram took him off. So that it was victory for him. And so spent 40 minutes not talking about the movie. So I guess since this is a movie podcast, we should go and talk about what we saw. What did we see?
The Fly.
The Fly. Such a simple name. The Fly, a movie that came out in 1986, is actually a kind of a remake of a movie that came out in the late 1950s, which, well, we'll get into that, the origins and whatnot. But I forgot to highlight some things. But no worries, we'll bang through
noticed.
That. So tell us about The Fly.
A brilliant but eccentric scientist begins to transfer into a giant man/fly hybrid after one of his experiments goes horribly wrong. And that was by IMDb.
Oh yeah, horribly wrong. That's why it's a horror, because stuff goes horribly wrong in this movie. I'm supposed to read this part, even though I highlighted it. This movie was released on April 15th, 1986 by SLM Production Group and Brook Films, and I think 20th Century Fox. I'm not sure.
I mean, the logo was there, so yeah.
What, the 20th Century Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for some reason they have that on IMDb. It grossed over $40 million in the US and Canada and over $60 million worldwide on an approximate $15 million budget. This was a hit. Had rave reviews. It went from 15 to 40. Yeah, that is a respectable number of dollars. So why don't you tell us who was in there? Well, and we'll go, back and forth.
We have Jeff Goldblum. He was Seth Brundle. He was also in Jurassic Park, Independence Day, Thor, Ragnarok.
So I don't guess I have to tell you who he was in Thor, Ragnarok.
Of course.
Or any of those. He's like, he is as eccentric as the scientist he plays. Do you remember that HBO series that we watched that starred him? The World According to Jeff Goldblum or whatever it's called?
I don't think I watched that. But
yeah, he's just as weird as the scientist he plays. It's not the real Seth Goldblum is not, or Jeff Goldblum is not that different from Seth Brundle. So, but he's a very fun actor to watch. Also in this movie was Gina Davis. She played Veronica Quaife. I'm just go with Quaife. It almost looks like Queef, which is a female fart. But I'm just, and I don't ever remember hearing them say her name. But I'm gonna just say that her name is Veronica Quaife. We know her from Thelma and Louise, The Long Kiss Goodnight, and A League of Their Own. Do you remember who she was in A Long Kiss Goodnight, the movie we watched?
I know she was the interest lover to the main protagonist, if I remember.
She was the main character in that one. She was the one that was lost her memory or whatever. This is when she was red hot, that they needed Gina Davis and everything, and she nearly was, right? So she's been in many of the classical movies from the 1980s. It also has go ahead.
Yeah, John Getz. He was playing as Stasis Barnes. He was in The Social Network, Blood Simple, and Zodiac.
Yeah, I think that's Stathis Boran. Right. Yeah. So I don't recognize him, but he did a pretty good job in this movie. There's also Joy Bauchel. Joy Bauchel. She played Tawny. She was in Terror Train, Quest for Fire, and Look Who's Talking. So she played the woman that that the Fly tried to bring home.
Yeah.
That's who she played. She's pretty much the only main female character in this movie. But to be fair, this movie had a very small cast.
And we also have Leslie Carlson.
That's Leslie.
Oh, Leslie Carlson. He was Dr. Cheevers. Oh, Cheevers. He was in The Dead Zone, A Christmas Story, and Videodrome.
And then the last person we have is George Chuvalo. He played Marky. He was in RoboCop, the 2014 version, Dirty Work, and Lee's Offering. I think that was the one he had.
That he broke the arm.
Yep. Yeah, I think it was that dude. So, who directed this masterpiece?
This was directed by David Cronenberg. He directed Dead Ringer, What in the world?
Just read Existence.
Existence, Jesus, and Scanners.
That's how it was written. That's how it was written.
Yeah, that's not how I'm trying
That's
to pronounce
the title
it.
of the movie.
Yeah, sure. Good job.
Well,
I'm not trying to pronounce it like that.
By that title, that he is a kind of eccentric director. He really is. If you want some strange, you're gonna get some David Cronenberg. He can do strange real good. And when I looked at his IMDb and of the movies, like this is the movies that he's mostly known for. When you look at the list of movies he's done, it's like, yeah, these some strange movies because he do the strange stuff. If you want some strange, you get some David Cronenberg. Also, this movie was written by George. Oh shoot, hold on. Well, the movie wasn't written by. These are the written by credits. Goes to George Langelian. See, this name is French, and I'm having a hard time with it because he's a British Frenchman or a French British man. I don't know how you say it. He's French and British, and his name is hard to say. It's Langeelan. Langelian. Anyway, going past that. This movie was based off of his short story that was published first in Playboy in 1957, and then it was made into the first movie in, I think it was 1958 or the late 1950s, and the original black and white movie version. And so the writers of this film was like, let's do it again. So their first script was written by Charles Edward Pogue. I think that's Pogue. Charles Edward Pogue, and then there was some rewrites by David Cronenberg. And they both basically did the screenplay. So yeah, who did the music? Music
by Howard Shore. He did music for The Lord of the Rings, Seven, and Ed Wood.
Howard Shore he just makes music. He has made music for some of everybody's favorite movie. So I didn't realize he has such an extensive career in making music for movies. So the producers were Mark Boyman. He was a co-producer. Mel Brooks is an uncredited producer. Stuart Kornfeld is a producer, and Kip Allman is a co-producer. So you know who Mel Brooks is? That's the most interesting person on this list.
I believe he's an actor. I believe we've seen him in one of the movies. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure that we've seen him.
But I know he's an actor.
He is an actor / producer / director. So most of the movies that he's done, he's acted most of the movies that he's acted in, he's both written and directed and produced. So he is basically a classic comic genius. He's still alive. And many of his friends are, the people that he partnered with. Many of them have passed away, but he's still chugging along. His son is Max Brooks. Max Brooks wrote the book that the movie World War Z is based on, and I think he wrote Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Killer. So his son writes a very funny book, and Max Brooks is just a classically funny man. But that's what everybody knows him. He did this. I think he did the original Producers. I'm not exactly sure, but he did this. You remember Spaceballs? I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I remember that. I've seen it.
That's his movie. He also did a movie called The History of the World Part 1. That's another one of his movies. Very funny movies. But he didn't want his name attached to this movie because he thought that it would bring the credibility down. This is supposed to be a serious horror film. you can't put Max Brooks on a serious horror film because people won't take it seriously, right? It was like, well, we going to go in this movie theater and laugh because it's Max Brooks. But no, it's like, no, take my name off. We trying to be serious here, serious. So what's next?
Well, that's it for the rundown. And if you're enjoying the show, remember that you can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, face masks, jerseys, and more at our website, backlookcinema.com, where you can click the link to either teesprings.com or tpublic.com. Now we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back to talk about our favorite parts of the movie, some movie trivia, and find out what some of the critics thought.
Hey, what's that right there? Man, is my fingernail coming off? Oh, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Oh, hello. Who am I, you ask? Well, that's on a need-to-know basis, and I guess you need to know. I'm Donnell from the Watching It Podcast, a little podcast where me and my co-host Robert dive into different TV shows and movies to give our viewpoints and reviews. TV shows like The Boys to the 1999 hit movie The 13th Floor. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, come join us at watchitpod.com or on any podcast provider.
Are you having a mutant bug problem? Then you need Die Bug Die. Die Bug Die has been specially formulated to not only deal with regular insects, but mutated insects as well. One can of Die Bug Die is potent enough to last for months, so don't hesitate to terminate that pesky wasp or loved one who just so happened to be mutated to a mutant fly-human hybrid, whether through teleportation accident or genetic manipulation. So don't be shy. Use Die Bug Die.
We cannot confirm nor deny that this product has been used by the secret FBI X-Files division.
What about bug spray? How about that?
And we're back. Once again, thanks for joining us. You can keep up with us by following our socials on Instagram and Facebook at Backlook Cinema Podcast and on Twitter at Backlook Cinema. We encourage you to leave feedback, comments, and suggestions, or you can email us at fanmail@backlookcinema.com. Now, let's talk about our favorite parts. Zachary, what's one of your favorite parts of the movie?
All right, so it's the scene where they're using a baboon to test it out on the teleportation on a living object. So they test it out, they see the results, and the results is horrifying. The baboon is basically skinless, almost near the bone, dead. And it's like, oh, okay. I need to figure out why the computer didn't just move one particles to the next fully whole. I just don't understand. Then they have sex. Then she talks about, how grandmas can't resist, the skin on babies pinching them, whatever. And he's like, oh, that's it. Maybe if I do another experiment and figure out what it is, I'll get my answer. So he decided to cut a steak in half, take one part of the steak through the teleporter, cook both of them, and then have it eat it. Basically, like, all right, what do you think? What do you see between the two? And she's like, well, the other one just doesn't taste right. It tastes funny, like it's missing things. And he's like, that's it. I think because I never programmed the computer about skin or whatever, it just doesn't realize what it should be doing. And he goes ahead and starts working on the computer so it can learn about, transporting particles and skin with everything intact, nothing missing. This everything was in the one machine over to the other. And it was like, I think I got it.
Right. So it's funny how to you the first half was a little bit slow, huh?
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, sure. You're bringing in this female just to show her your new work. Then you're not happy because she's like, oh, yeah, I'm a journalist. What do you expect?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, what did you expect? She told you, I'm pretty sure she told you she was a journalist. And a journalist is going to do what they do best.
No, she didn't actually say that she was a journalist.
Okay.
When they met at a party. She didn't say, she was just asking questions.
Yeah.
And he was trying to impress her because he was trying to get personal with her. So that's why when later on when he showed her his teleportation device, because that's how this movie basically starts. That's the driver, is that this scientist created a teleportation device, like the world's first, that could transport macro objects, not not microscopic, not subatomic particles, because you can transport subatomic particles, but he's trying to transport macro objects, like objects our size. So he did a demonstration where he took a personal object of hers, so it wouldn't seem like a magic trick. Took her pantyhose, so she had on the kind that you can wear up each leg like giant socks. He put her pantyhose in one teleporter and teleported it to the other teleporter, and it was regular. But then, I think he kind of creeped her out a little bit, and he didn't want her to print the story when he found out that she was a reporter.
Also, can I just say, I'm pretty sure that recorder is not capturing anything in her purse or pocket, whatever. Because I'm like, that is a powerful recorder for it not to be shuffling around to have.
It's not gonna be perfect recording.
Have you forgotten when they was replaying it? It was a perfect recording of what was said.
It's movie magic. Don't worry about that. That's not.
No.
Or it's got a great microphone. They had.
No.
She had a top of the line tape recorder, but see that's neither here nor there. It's not. The movie's not about the recorder. It would have worked. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't have been perfect. All she's gonna do is write it anyway. But she would have been able to capture his voice. But that's neither here nor there. It was not. It didn't have to be perfect. She was gonna just. She's a journalist. She's a print journalist. She had to convince her editor
first before anything, but
right.
yeah.
But he thinking that he's a con. The editor thinks that the scientist is a con man, and he's not really a scientist, because when he was talking to her, he said he just ordered the parts and he kind of puts them together. So it doesn't really talk about him like graduating or having a degree. They don't refer to him as a doctor, so he doesn't have like a doctorate in science anywhere.
But it makes it weird because he doesn't have it. All he did was build. It's like, but then wouldn't the other people who are sending your parts get notice of what you're building?
Well, they don't know. It's like they send him send me a laser. He gets a laser. Send me a sequencer. They send a sequencer. They don't know or care what I think.
But that is like, it's like, since he's saying he's not a scientist.
No, I'm saying that he's not a scientist.
Yeah, it's like. It does have that thing. It's like, you didn't make these, you ordered them. But then again, where's your research on doing this? It's like, that's what I want to see. I want to see the mathematics, the scientific. I want to see.
That's probably what he's good at. He must be good at math.
Yeah, in his head apparently, because I don't see anything on the walls.
It's probably notes in the computer. he did have a pretty fancy computer. It's like not everybody writes stuff on the wall. But yeah, so eccentric scientist built a teleporter. Tries to impress a female with it that turns out to be a journalist. She takes it to her editor. Editor says it's crap. And then going all the way down to where it finally gets a little bit exciting when he tries to transport a baboon, and the baboon comes with the inside out. It's like, all right, now we get into the horror. Now we get into the gross stuff. And he's trying to, and now he realized he has to teach the computer to basically go crazy trying to put the baboon back together, because the way the teleporter works is that it actually destroys an object, then it rebuilds it in another place. And I think this is the way his transporter worked. The way the scientists say, if they ever are able to build a transporter, an actual working transporter, you're actually destroying an object. It's not like Star Trek where you turn it into a beam and you beam it over. That's what they do in Star Trek. But you're not turning it into energy, beaming it over and then turning energy back into matter. You're actually destroying completely the original object, and then the computer builds a duplicate from the ground up.
Yeah, a duplicate that remembers everything.
Right, that remembers everything. That's a duplicate that still has its soul, essentially. So that's the crux of how his teleportation machine works. And so his problem is he's not really worried about the thing having a mind. He's worried about the thing not having its guts inside out. That's the first thing. So he teaches his computer how to do it. And then what else happens?
After that, they do the baboon test again. It's like, okay, we're trying that out again. They get it to work this time because the baboon comes out completely normal, acting the way it was And it's like, okay, cool, neat. Now you know. But then they're like, before we actually try to test it on a human, we should study the baboon to make sure. But because what's her name? Veronica got this letter from her editor. She was not happy with it because she knew what it was, but didn't tell Seth about it. So she left. Seth gets upset, gets drunk, and is like, you know what? I'm going to do the test without her.
Yeah, he gets upset because he gets instantly jealous. He's only seen her for like maybe a few weeks.
A few weeks.
He gets instantly jealous when she leaves because he's able to deduce that she and her editor used to see each other, which is, it's fine. It happens, but he thinks that she's sleeping with him. He gets drunk instantly. I mean, it's like the last movie we saw last week. We talked about Fright Night. How this dude, he's looking through his binoculars, he sees something a little strange and instantly believes that he sees a vampire with very little evidence. Same thing happens to Seth. Very little evidence. Instantly jumps to conclusion, drinks, makes it even worse, and that leads to a worse decision.
Yeah, another thing, he doesn't apparently notice that there's a fly because a baboon is trying to, get this fly, but apparently he doesn't notice the fly, and he's thinking that the baboon is acting up for some reason.
Well, he's drunk. He's not even.
Really I know. Yeah, he
that
is
much
drunk.
Attention to the baboon. So, what's another one of your favorite parts?
Let's see. When he's basically like, I want to say like 25% transformed, where you can notice about basically his skin is looking weird, on his face, and he basically goes to a bar because he was upset that Veronica wasn't go through the machine, claiming that it will make her pure because that's how he feels. So he goes to a bar, upset, trying to find someone else to put through the machine so they can feel what he feels and be with him because he wants that someone. So he goes to the bar, goes up to this woman. He orders, I think, a scotch or something. I know he orders a drink.
Scotch.
And then, he acts like, well, I forgot what he said, but, he's being cocky. He's like, yeah, I can beat them. It's not even an issue, not even a contest.
Yeah, she's watching a couple of guys arm wrestling.
Yeah. And then they hear him and they're like, oh, you think you can, huh? I was like, yeah, $100 down. I can beat you. And they're like laughing off, joking because the way his body is. He basically looks like a skinny. Well, he's not skinny, but it's the stereotype of he's a nerd, he's a scientist, he's, easy to beat. So the guy goes to accept the challenge.
And these guys are big dudes.
Yeah, they're big dudes. He accepts the challenge, and it's an arm wrestling. So the other guy is struggling with Seth, and then Seth is not even putting in any effort until he starts doing it, causing the guy's bone to pop out. I'm like, oh, okay, there we go.
That's called a compound fracture.
Yeah,
like a regular fracture is just when you break the bone, but everything stay inside. A compound fracture is when the bone likes to stick out, and it's gross, and it looked like it hurt. You're like, oh, that's another horrifying moment.
And then, he goes, and apparently the girl's not horrified, or maybe she is. I don't know. She doesn't show it. And then Seth
I think she's in shock. And then, but Seth just grabs her arm because she was part of the bet.
Oh yeah, she was a part of the bet. She was like, "You think I'm some type of hooker?" I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't even matter."
Right.
And then he takes her, and then she's like, "Can we go to another bar?" Because apparently loves going to bars.
Yeah, people like to go bar hopping. So you don't, when you're part of the drunk culture, you don't just go to one bar. You go to different bars because different bars have different personalities. So you'll start at this one bar, and then you go to this other bar down the street that you like, and you go to this other bar down the street where your friends are at. So yeah, that's what she wanted to do.
Yeah. So he takes her home in a taxi, and now when you first get when they first show the building, you don't think you're thinking he lives on the first or second floor maybe. No, this dude lives apparently all the way to the top floor where there's no elevator, and I'm like, it's either A, an elevator, but he doesn't want to take it because of, what's going on with him, or B, there's actually no elevator. I'm like, are you kidding me, man?
There's probably no elevator.
But, she's talking about, is there really no elevator? Because they're going up all these stairs, and he's like, I ain't got time for this. Picks her up, and then takes her all the way there. And I'm like,
she's lagging behind because she's still drunk. So he lifts
her
up.
She's getting tired because she's going up
she's tired and she's drunk. So he lifts her up and carries her all the way up to the rest, and he's running up the stairs.
He placed her down. He goes through the teleporter again, and then she's like amazed by it. They have sex, and then that's when Veronica comes like, really, really now you just wow.
Oh no! What? No, you kind of skipped over like.
Oh,
the
and
best
how
part.
of
The best
how
part
he
is
wanted
like
her.
at the time, like when Veronica kind of bursts in, like right at that time, he's trying to get this girl to go through the
teleporter.
It's like, come on, don't be afraid.
And she's like, yeah, be afraid, be very afraid.
Right?
I'm like, yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, that's definitely right.
Right. That's the number one thing I want you to get out of this movie. Be afraid. Be very. It became a pop culture icon at the time. Just that phrase, that tagline of the movie. You heard it a lot for a long time. You don't really hear that much anymore. Not people reference that in the movie in that way anymore. But for a long time, you heard it a lot, right? So when Veronica came in, that's when she was like, okay, peace out. I see what this is. Let me get out of here. She already told me to be afraid. I guess I should be afraid and get out.
Yeah, she leaves. Then Seth tells Veronica to leave. And it says, Veronica's like, there's something going on. There's something wrong. And I'm telling you, how I know this is because you remember when I cut those little hair off your back? Yeah, I took them for someone to see. I'm like, yeah, that's not human. It's like an insect hair. And she's telling him, and he's like, no, it's not. I'm pure. Get out.
Right,
leave.
right,
I don't
right,
want you to
right.
ever come back again. Leave.
Right.
I'm
So
like, okay then.
So, and that's the funny part. So he, like, going back a little bit, he, I like the whole arc of his journey, right? So the whole arc of his journey is what I like about this movie. So he goes into the teleporter drunk. Very bad decision. He doesn't notice that there is a fly in the pod with him. Computer does not know what to do with these two objects. Like, screw it, I'm just putting them together.
Put them together. There we go.
Sounds good to me. It comes out like it's two objects in one pod, and in second pod after his teleportation, one object comes out. So and then he feels better than he has ever felt in his life. He's doing gymnastics. He's what's the other thing he did? The first thing he did.
He basically balanced on a chair.
He was balancing himself on a chair in front of Bronny or Veronica, and he's balancing himself, and then he goes over and he does his gymnastic on this bar that's hanging in this horizontal bar that just so happens to be in his apartment somehow, and it's not even really an apartment. It's like a studio apartment, I guess, sort of. It's weird. So because they don't even sleep on a bed. He doesn't have a bed. He has a couch. He has a couch bed, and that's what he sleeps on. So it's kind of like a studio apartment. And he's the type of dude that wears the same set of clothes every day.
Like cartoon characters. That's what it reminded me of. Tell me, don't you have any other clothes? I mean, yes and no. But it's the same clothes. I mean, like, yes, the same, but at least I changed my clothes. What do you mean? They're just the same clothes, but at least I changed my clothes.
Right. Do you remember why he does that?
I forgot his excuse. It was something.
Well, it's not really an excuse.
Not an excuse, but it was like a reason for it.
Right. The reason was because that's what Einstein did. Einstein had the same set of clothes because he didn't need to waste time thinking about what he's going to wear.
What else? I'm like, what do I want to wear?
Right. You can spend hours in front of the closet trying to figure out what you want to wear. But if you only have one set of clothes, that's one decision that you don't have to make. And there are a couple of people that espouse this ideology in recent times, but I can't remember who they were. But anyways, so part of his arc is him finding out that Veronica's right, because Veronica is like, she noticed the first mutation right away is that he had scratched his back earlier, so now these coarse hairs are growing out of this where he had cut himself, and it's super coarse. And it's like unnaturally, like no human has this coarse hair growing out of his back, but he ignores it. It's like, no, I'm feeling great, energetic. He's like, he's out-sexing her. Like he's outlasting her and sexy. He's got super stamina. It's almost a superhero origin story. And then it goes way off the rails. It goes way off the rails. It's like, I'm a superhero. Oh no, it's too far. No, almost had it. Oh, almost had it. It's like you catch a fish. It's like, nope, the fish got away. Now you're not going to be a superhero today, son. You're going too far. You missed the bus on that one. So his face start like even when he picked up that woman, that's when his
can
face
see his
started
face is
started
like has
messing
a
up.
bunch of acne. And
Right,
everything.
look like acne, and he's still feeling super awesome, and he thinks that Ronnie is jealous of him because he's going to be a superhero and he wants to make more superhumans. So he's trying to get others into his to go through the teleporter to be superhuman with him. And so what else happens? Or what else you like your parts?
I'm trying to remember. When he gets further into the mutations, like he pinches off his nails,
Right.
and he's like, because he bites on his fingers, and then his nail comes. He's like, that is not right.
The whole fingernail comes off.
It's like the entire finger. He's like, that's not
And then
right.
it's oozing stuff out of his finger.
Then he goes to his other finger and pull off. He was like, yeah, that definitely's not right. He's like, oh my goodness, she was right. Oh no. And then he goes to his computer and then figure out like what went wrong, what actually happened the first time. And then he finds out that a fly had went through. And then he's like, okay, what happens if there's a second object with me in the machine and it goes to the other teleporter machine? I was like, oh, well, I didn't know what to do, so I just fused them together. I was never programmed to know what to do. Right. I just fused them together. And he's like,
Right. And he kind of knew that, I think. That's why he always went in naked, because he wanted to go in as a human and come out. Because he didn't want to confuse the computer anymore.
Yeah, that's why he didn't have on clothes or anything on him.
So he kind of knew that. I think he kind of knew that was a possibility. And but he was just too drunk to notice that there was a fly in there. So, he had to tell Ronnie, it was like, I was trying to build a teleporter. It turned out to be a pretty good gene splicer because he learned that it spliced his human genes with the genes of a fly. So, and then he just gets more and more mutated.
Yeah, more mutated, more worse. He started losing hair. His finger starts to fuse. He lost an ear.
Oh, man, that was the funny part, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. He basically called Veronica over talking about, to come see him. I think was it that time?
Yeah, what happened was at first Ronnie hadn't seen him in weeks. So finally he calls her and is like, at first I didn't want to call you because I was afraid to call you, and now because how I was changing. Yeah. And now I'm afraid not to call you. I guess he was afraid of being alone, right?
That's what it seems like.
Yeah. And he really wanting some kind of companionship, and she's the only one that he could call. So she goes over and he's like way mutated. Now his skin is all messed up. His head is like growing. His head is way larger than a regular human. Yep. His body is mostly misshapen. It's like it's lumpy all over.
Yeah, and then
and he's like oozing, and she's still crying and hugging him. I was like, ew.
And like when he does lose his ear, he tries to offer some food, but then he spits up on it. He was like, oh yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, I think he said that was gross.
That was gross.
That must have been the first time he did that. He threw up on his food. And then I like the part when he has her filming how he eats now.
Yeah, because this is the second visit, and he's like, we might, we can actually sell this, make it for kids. I'm like, hey, talking about how does what was his last name? Brundle the Fly eats.
I think he called himself Brundle Fly.
Oh yeah, Brundle Fly. And he's like, well, just like a fly, we have teeth, but we don't use them. They're just there for show because we can't actually digest solid food. So what we do is we use this special thing that we have to throw on the food, so the food is melted, and then we just slurp it right back up. I'm like,
so she has to show.
Yeah, she's just recording it. And then it goes to basically her editor sitting there watching. He's like in disgust with it.
Right.
And I don't know how, but I guess it was a dream all along for that part of the season where he's watching it.
No, all that was real. So when she goes to the bathroom
crying, and remember she says I'm pregnant, and then the next scene they go to.
Well, that's the part.
Oh, that's the part.
That's the part when it cuts to the dream. So in this sequence, they go to the hospital because it's like she's pregnant, but she's not about to give birth then and there. She just knows that she's pregnant, but she goes and she's in the hospital, and she's out there and the doctor's like, all right, we're going to need you to push. We're going to need you to push. There's a whole thing in here. And she gives birth to this giant maggot. And
yeah, they're all screaming in horror. I'm
and
like,
she
oh.
wake-
And she wakes up, it's a dream. I'm like, oh yeah, it was all a dream.
right.
And then she's basically thinking, am I pregnant before the experiment or after
wait, she
the
knows
experiment?
she knows it's after. Because she continued to have sex with him after the experiment. So she's pretty sure that it was after, because she could have been impregnated before the experiment, because they did have sex on the very first
that's
day.
what I'm saying.
But she's like, she doesn't want to take no chances at all.
No chances.
She's like, get it out of me. Get it out. I want an abortion. Get it out. Get it out. It's like that dude in the video. Get out. Get out.
And then basically, she does try to go to him and tell him that, I'm pregnant, but I'm getting an abortion. But she can't bring herself to do it because on how far he's mutated and on how insane he's being. Like, he's like, come on, I want to be the first human insect to be in the politicians, because insects, they're not politicians. It's a world out there for insects. They're cruel, they're harsh, they don't care.
Right.
I want to be the first insect politician.
Right. He really talking nonsense. And then at one point he says, I had a dream that I was an insect that dreamed that he was a man. And now I'm waking from it. And he's crawling on the walls like a fly or any other insect or whatever. And well, I just wanted to point out that that's not how flies or other insects cling to objects. Like, usually it has to do with hairs. Sometimes it's suction.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was on his. That's what it was.
It also has to do with how light they are, because they're so lightweight that's something that they can do. Like, there's some insects.
Spider-Man doesn't question it. If we are not going to question it with the fly. Okay?
Right. But and like, some insects can stand in water because they're lighter than the water tension. But see, he was but they took some license to it. But yeah, he's crawling on the walls. He's twitching now. He's twitching kind of like a fly. Twitches.
His skin basically got eroded, whatever. His eyes was also twitching too.
Right.
He's looking almost everywhere. He's thinking radically. Like, every time he's thinking, it's like something else coming into it.
Right. So they go, I can't remember, they go to an abortion doctor, but I can't remember if they actually do it then and there.
They was going to do it.
Oh, they was going to do it. And then what happened?
Because he was like, do you want us to actually look before we do it? She's like, no, I want it out now. Let's do it now. And he's like, all right, fine, go ahead. They take her to the room. There's like, here's a gown. Go ahead, get dressed. They will be here when you're ready. And they all leave, and Caesar's in the room by herself. That's when Bundon comes in, kidnaps her.
He didn't come in.
He busted through the
window like Spider-Man.
Busted through the window.
All of a sudden, you see his shadow. All of a sudden, boom! He's in the room.
Kidnaps her. She tells him, "Yeah, I'm pregnant and I'm getting." But he's like, "No, don't do that. That actually might be the last human part of me. So I need you to keep it." And she's like, "No," and he's like, "Well, too bad." She's like, "Wait, what?"
Right.
And I'm like, "Wait, what do you mean too bad?
Right.
What are you gonna do? Tie her up?" No. Instead, he takes her back to his place. And before we figure out what he's gonna do, the editor is there. He has a shotgun. Put it together, and he's looking around. He goes.
Well, he must have gone home first, or maybe it was in his car.
Maybe who knows?
Right, but he eventually makes it back to the Brundle's house, or his whatever you call it.
Yeah,
place.
He goes there, gets the
he carries his shotgun in a suitcase for some reason, and he assembles it in the house. Which is kind of weird. You don't want to go into a person's house. You don't want to break into somebody's house and then assemble a shotgun. You want to assemble the shotgun first and then break into the house. That would be the smart play. Like, even if you wanted to, he wanted to be under the radar. He didn't want to attract police attention, right? So he kept it in a suitcase. I can understand that. But before you break into somebody's house, you want to have that bad boy assembled, right? Because you don't want to, get caught, right, assembling the shotgun and dude just whacks you in the head with a baseball bat. Well, he has his own shotgun already assembled because he's in his own home. So yeah, don't do that. That's the wrong thing to do. But miraculously, nothing happens to him as he's assembling this shotgun.
Yeah, so he assembles it. He walks around a bit, comes to the computer, and on the computer he sees that the computer is set up to have 3 of the teleportations ready. Now he doesn't know what it means. We don't know what it means yet. And then that's when Bundon comes in, smacks him down.
I think he understands.
Yeah, maybe
he understands because of what happens later. But what were you saying?
So Brendan comes in, smacks him down. The guy tries to get his shotguns ready, but Brendan takes his hand and just spits on it. Just goes ahead and uses his liquid to melt his hand.
Right. He has so Brundle, like a fly, other insects, they have to they don't spit. I want to say they regurgitate the acid.
The acid.
They regurgitate this digestive juices, like our digestive juices in our stomach, and that's what that's where
can
it
stay
stays.
there.
You know when you get indigestion?
Yeah.
That is your stomach acid coming up to your esophagus where it don't belong. It don't belong in your esophagus because they ain't got the special stomach lining so that you don't feel it, right? That's what it feels like in your stomach, but your stomach got a special lining to keep you from feeling that way, and it probably some of that lining is in the intestine. But when you start to feel like acid indigestion, that's that stomach acid coming up your esophagus. They ain't got that special lining, so that's no good. You already know. So imagine that, except 1,000 times worse, and it lands on your hands. That's how insects do it. They have to regurgitate their stomach acid onto their food like he was doing with his donuts, except in this case, I'm gonna just throw up on your hand.
So yeah, he falls down in pain, about to go on shock. Then he's trying to use his foot to get his shotgun, and it was like, oh, okay, it looks like I'm gonna take out your ankle too. There you go. He does, same thing with the hand, same thing on the ankle. And this is when he's definitely about to pass out due to shock of pain and blood loss.
I'm pretty sure he did kind of go into shock at that point. He's like, first he's looking at this ugly thing throwing up on his foot. Then there's unimaginable amount of pain. And then he was like, oh, his eyes rolled back. His head go down to the floor. He was done. He stopped reaching for the gun at that point.
And then, Brendan tells Veronica what he's going to do, saying, I'm gonna put you in one part, and with the baby inside you, I'm going to the other part, and we're gonna fuse together to become one human. Me, you, and the baby as one human, so I can be a pure human. I'm like, I'm sorry,
the perfect family. Yeah, because earlier in the movie, he had tried to figure out how he could be human again. So the computer told him, well, if you add more human subjects and I fuse them together, then you'll be more human, right?
Okay.
So he actually had 3 pods. He only used 2 for when he was doing all the teleportation. The first one was a prototype. So he reattached the first one. So now you have 3 pods together. So he's gonna put Veronica in one pod. He was gonna go in the other pod, and they were both going to reintegrate in that third pod, which was the pod, the prototype
one.
Prototype pod.
So that's when I think the guy we're talking about is Borens. I'm not gonna try to say the first name because I ain't trying that. So he miraculously, gets up from his shock.
No, that was Borans.
Yeah, Borans.
Right.
He gets up from his shock, shoot the cords of the pod that Veronica was in, and then Borans like, no, we're not doing that. You're not stopping what I'm trying to do. He breaks the glass. And as he's about to get out,
he's already in the pod. So he has to break the glass to get out the pod.
Yeah. So as he's about to get out, the timer hits 0, and then he's vaporized or turned, transferred from that one pod to the third pod. And Veronica gets out. The third pod opens, and then he is fused. He is actually before that. I forgot to mention how she ripped off his jaw.
Right. So
and it's like, okay,
right.
Wow.
So what happened was he's dragging her. And this part, right? This is after he regurgitates all over her previous boyfriend,
the editor,
and he's basically passed out from the shop. And he grabs her and he starts dragging her to a pod. He's already super strong and whatnot, so she can't really resist. But he's mostly human at this point. He's a gross human, but he's still recognizably human.
Yeah.
So and then she's like, no, and she pushes his face, but then his jaw comes off.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Now he can't talk no more. Now he's just making humming noises. And then he further begins to mutate, just going through a mass mutation right in front of her. Yeah. While he's still holding on to her.
Fall off.
Right. The skin from his head falls off. So he has an insect-looking head now. His ankle bends his leg bends at 2 different places. He have arms rips out of his side, so he actually has 6 legs now. So now he's really a different
humanoid
creature.
fly.
Right. He has everything but the wings, and he he throws her in there in the machine after he fully mutates and locks her in there, and then he goes into the second machine, and then well, there was something that you was gonna say before I interrupted you.
No.
And
Well,
then,
yeah, that's when Brandon wakes up, shoots the cord.
yeah, he shoots the cord,
Fly.
severing the wires or the cords that connects her pod to the rest of the system. So now she will not be integrated
Yeah.
with the fly creature, because now he's fully a creature now.
And the creature's
So,
like, no, I need her.
Right. So the creature breaks out, but he's teleported. But he's teleported with the door that he just broke.
Yeah.
So
And then the third part door was open, and then he comes out, and he's fused with the door as this creature, like disgusting fly.
Right.
And he's crawling towards Veronica. Veronica takes the shotgun, and then she's like, no, I can't do it. But the fly pushes it up to his head, like, just do it, please. Put me out of my misery.
Right.
I've gone too far. There's no point of saving me. I cannot be saved.
right.
And then she's like, no, I can't. No. And it's almost like you can feel the tension, like, just do it, shoot me. And then she shoots him. And then, she's there crying in horror and shame and sadness because her lover that she fell in love with turned into this disgusting human fly-like thing and got even worse in mutation. And she had to put it down like Old Yeller.
Right. And then now they got to explain all that to the police. But yeah, it's kind of, it's kind of weird to still be in love with somebody that turns into a disgusting creature that tries to kill you.
No, just imagine going to the hospital. So what happened to your hand and your ankle? Oh yeah, this human-like fly thing melted off my hand and ankle. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
But they got the video though. They got the video of him doing all the
this
things.
is the guy that did it. And where is he? Oh, he's dead. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like I said, his head is disintegrated, but they got the video of him regurgitating on his food. They got the video of him doing the teleportation experiments, and he's probably filmed a bunch of stuff. Him peeling off pieces of his face.
He probably,
his
he
fingers.
might have filmed. He might not. Who knows?
Yeah, but I think they got enough for the police.
All
to
they
like,
know is that he has a collection of his fallen off parts in a cabinet in his bathroom.
Right,
why are you doing that?
He's saving
Come on,
them. He's like,
come on,
this is part of a
Brundle.
Paragon ever. It's a Brundle Museum of Natural History.
I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever you say, crazy man.
Yeah, he was out there. So yeah, that was I'm trying to think. There's another part that but I can't think of it right now. But yeah, I think that it all comes together rather nicely with him turning fully into a total monster before being blown away. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. So the computer has no dialogue. The computer just has words on the screen.
Yeah.
But it seems so happy when it announced that the Brundlefly and the door has been fused.
Like, hey, the transport was complete. Yay!
Right. Yeah, the transport is complete, and the Brundlefly and the door was successfully fused. I did it.
Yeah, I did it. Are you proud of me?
Right. Are you proud of me, Father? I did it. I did the thing that you wanted. So that was awesome.
You don't have to be mad like you was when you found out that I didn't know what to do about you and the fly. You can be happy because I did the thing.
I did the thing that you taught me to do. So yeah, that was awesome. So having viewed this film, what do you feel about it?
It was a good one.
I knew it. And I was kind of worried because it was slower than I remembered. Had a lot of romantic elements in it. But still, this is a classic movie. I knew you would like it. So let's move on. Let's see what other people think. Let's talk about the trivia first.
When I think about it, it's like, what if Spider-Man's mutation went horribly wrong?
Actually, they've done comics
I know they've done it.
Right.
It's like he has like 4 more. I'm like, yeah, that is horribly wrong. For him. That is just not. I'm sorry, man.
Right. He's they did a comic where he's got like eight limbs. So he's got 3 arms and 2 legs, and his other limbs just kind of stick out of his sides. They're looking like spider limbs. So yeah. So this is a superhero movie going wrong. This is an origin story where he doesn't stop changing. Like, it doesn't stop at him being superhuman. It goes there's a train that goes off the rail. So we're just gonna go. I forgot to highlight this part, but we're just gonna go back and forth, and it's not that much. So let's go to the trivia. So in a 1987 interview on Sinister Image of 1987, Vincent Price revealed that when this remake was released, star Jeffrey Goldblum wrote him a letter saying, "I hope you like it as much as I liked yours." Price was touched by the letter. He composed a reply and went to see the film, which he described as wonderful right up until a certain point. It was a little too far. You know, I can imagine what those points were.
I'm guessing the abortion, the transformation.
I think it's the part when the fly started throwing up on people.
There's that part too.
I think that was a little too much because Vincent is a classic horror actor. He was, remember when we talked about going back to the last movie once again, Fright Night, you had Peter Vincent.
Yep.
So we talked about how they really wrote that part for Vincent Price, but Vincent Price was really getting up in age. It's like he was a very old man at that time, and he didn't really want to do it. So that's when they got they got Roddy McDowall. So Roddy McDowall was really playing a messed up version of Vincent Price. Like Vincent Price is a very good actor, and Roddy McDowall was playing a very bad actor. So when you watch Fright Night, you get a sense of the type of characters that Vincent Price would play. So he was in the original version of The Fly. So Vincent Price saw this movie that came out in 1987. He was like, that's too much for me. I can't. That's that. I'm an old man. I'm a classic horror actor. You understand? This isn't classic horror. This is that new age stuff. I'm not down with that. So what's the next one?
After watching some of his early films, director Martin Scorsese asked to meet David Cronenberg. Upon meeting him, Scorsese said he looked like a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. This inspired Cronenberg to give him a cameo as a doctor.
Give himself.
Oh, himself as a cameo as a doctor.
Right. I think he was a doctor in the dream sequence. So, those involved with the making of the film, including David Cronenberg, remember that baboon, whose name was Typhoon, was very much a wild animal and not an actor. Visual effects supervisor Hoyt Yeatman said in a special features documentary that Typhoon was once startled by the flashing lights on the telepad and broke the door off to get out. The Wrangler and Jeff Goldblum, who is 6'4", were the ones who had to keep the primate in check. They're a little volatile, and there's no such thing as a tame baboon, Cronenberg said. Jeff, because he was much bigger and stronger than the baboon, was able to dominate him, and the baboon wrangler said it was a good thing that the baboon had formed that relationship. Otherwise, there could have been big trouble on the set with some of the female members of the crew. So basically, it seems like Jeff Goldblum and the baboon, like that affection that you saw in the movie with him and the baboon, apparently that was real, right? That was real life affection.
Or you know what, another thing I like? When he apologized to the baboon, saying, "I'm sorry I killed your brother." I'm like, what? Right.
What's the next one?
David Cronenberg noted on his DVD audio commentary that the baboon used in the film frightened him personally, as they are potentially dangerous, physically very strong, and as very intelligent and very wild animals are highly unpredictable. However, Cronenberg believed due to his tall and muscular physique, the baboon behaved affectionate and deferential towards Jeff Goldblum, who had trained and worked out in preparation for the role, making the scene with them easy to film. Other films using baboons often have mixed success, such as during the filming of The Omen that came out in 1976, when Lee Remick had to be rescued from an overly excited baboon during the zoo attack scene.
Right. Yeah. The baboons are actors. They think everything is real, right? Of course. So yeah, I can see how they would have a problem with an overly excited baboon. But yeah, he was Jeff Goldblum looked like he was in the best shape of his life in this movie. Like he's in great shape. Like even in Jurassic Park, he was all right, but I think he was in better shape in The Fly than he was in Jurassic Park. So the first name mentioned in the end credits is Chris Wallace Incorporated as a creator designer of The Fly. After screening, the audience cheered upon seeing the first credit. Producer Stuart Cornfield turned to Wallace and said, "You're getting the Oscar." Cornfield's prediction became true when Wallace did, in fact, win an Academy Award for Best Makeup. Wallace claims that this was probably because his name was listed his name was listed first. So it was the first name in the credit. So he thinks that he got the Oscar because of that. But actually it holds up today, actually. Like when you look at it, you're still horrified at like the fingers coming off, the vomit, the fly. It still looks good.
Yeah.
It holds up.
The line, "I'm saying I'm an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it, but now that dream is over and the insect is awake," is a reference to the author Zagahinizi?
I think that's Zhangzi.
Oh, Zhangzi's famous butterfly dream story. It's also a reference to Frank Kafka's
I think that's Kafka's.
famous short story, The Metamorphosis.
Yep. He dreamed he was a fly. He dreamed... No, hold on.
The insect dreamed that he was a human, and now the
Yeah.
insect is waking up.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah, sure. If you want to claim it like that, okay then.
Right. The Chris Wallace Incorporated designer studied graphic books on disease as a starting point for their Brundlefly makeup / creature designs. The final Brundlefly creature is horribly deformed and asymmetrical. This reflects director David Cronenberg's idea that the creature shouldn't be a giant fly, but rather a literal fusion of a man and an insect that embodies the elements of both. Yep. And he succeeded. He did it.
Yeah. Mel Brooks didn't want people to know that he was a producer for the film because he thought people wouldn't take it seriously if they knew he was involved. When people did find out, he decided to make the most of it by handing out Dealey boppers at the premiere. Dealey boppers are toy headbands that resemble insect antennas.
So I guess you've seen them like around Halloween. They go around your head like a woman's headband. Like, what do you call those things?
It's basically like a headband with these little sticks on it that look like antennas.
Right. Sticks or springs with balls or stars or happy faces at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're at I. Seth saying, "Drink deep or taste not the plasma spring." This is when he was having this argument with like one of the first arguments was
with Veronica.
With Veronica, right. The full quote is, "A little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep or taste not the Parian spring. Their shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again." You know, it's kind of funny. That's almost kind of a metaphor for what's going on today with the coronavirus.
I'm not sure if you mentioned that quote is from Alexander Pope, an essay on criticism.
Thank you. An essay on criticism by Alexander. Well, I missed that entire line.
Yeah.
Right. But it's a reference to a famous quote by Alexander Pope, an essay on criticism. So yeah, it's kind of like a metaphor what's happening right now with the coronavirus and everything, because people are doing their own research, quote unquote, and they're looking at a little bit of the thing and only getting a sample of what's going on. They're not really trying to take in drinking deeply so that you can get sober on actual knowledge. So what's next?
David Cronenberg was surprised when the film was seen by some critics as a cultural metaphor for AIDS, since he originally intended the film to be more generally an analogy for disease itself, terminal conditions like cancer, and more specifically the aging process.
Right, because as you get older, stuff stops working. Teeth fall out, you lose your hearing, you lose your eyes. So that was represented the physical manifestation of losing stuff as you get older, and plus wrinkly skin and losing your hair and whatnot. All that kind of represented what the Brundle was going through when he was transforming to the fly. But AIDS was real big at the time. People don't talk about it as much now because not as many people are dying. There are very good treatments for it, and I don't think the treatments are expensive as they were back when AIDS was a serious epidemic. But yeah, that's what they saw. It was like, oh yeah, this is a metaphor for age. So according to David Cronenberg, the line "be afraid, be very afraid" was invented by Mel Brooks while discussing how characters should react to the early stages of Seth Brundle's transformation.
Although his script was extensively rewritten, Charles Edward Pogue still receives on-screen credit for the screenplay. David Cronenberg demanded that Pogue receive credit, claiming that he would never know how to write the script if not for Pogue's version.
Yeah, you know what? See, that's a stand-up guy. He's honest. Screenwriter Charles Edward Pogue. Wait a minute. Oh, I guess. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm reading the same because it starts off exactly the same as the line you just read. Screenwriter Charles Edward Pogue wrote the first draft of the script. When David Cronenberg was hired as a director, one condition was that he was able to rewrite the script to his satisfaction. Cronenberg substantially altered the characters and their names, the dialogue, and much of the plot. However, key details from Pogue's script, the fusion of man and fly, and details of the metamorphosis were retained. Several sequences were filmed but cut from the final release, including a sequence where Brundle sends a cat and the surviving baboon through the teleports, resulting in a mutated creature he beats to death with a pipe. A scene where Brundle climbs the outside of his building as an insect limb emerges from his side, and an alternate ending in which Veronica has another dream of an unborn child, this time as a baby with beautiful butterfly wings.
You know, I think the last one would have been good, and the first one would have also been good.
Oh man, killing that baboon! Oh no, not the baboon, man!
It's a baboon mixed with the cat. What do you mean, not the baboon?
And then he has to beat it to death. It's a creature, man. No, let's not watch that.
Okay. Gina Davis wasn't acting when Jeff Goldblum's right ear fell off. Her reaction in the film was genuine, and she was genuinely shocked when it was filmed, and David Cronenberg kept the take of her reaction in the film.
Yeah, sometimes when you want to get the best out of your actor, you do the real thing. Can you imagine acting on the thing and you don't know what's going to happen, and then the ear falls off? Get that real honest reaction. All right, so that's it for the whatchamacallit. So what do we call that?
We called it the trivia for IMDb. So the trivia section is
the
all
trivia
done.
section. That's it for now. Let's see what the critics think. So you thought it was great. I thought it was a great movie. Critics gave it a 93%. Audience gave it 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, and IMDb reviews has it at 7.6 out of 10. So yeah, it's good. It was, like I said, there were rave reviews for this film. So start us off.
All right, hold on. Ralph Novak from People magazine. Any dope could fill a movie with sickening stuff, and there's nothing scary, funny, or interesting about what Cronenberg has done. It is just tedious and insulting. Get the swatter.
See, I read that. I was like, man, this dude, he just wanted to. He thinks he's a writer. He wanted to write something clever. That's what his deal is. Like, let me write something clever because I ain't got no serious thing to say about this. Come on. Oh, all it has is sickening stuff. Man, all that drama they had at the beginning of the movie and the continued, and then her attracted to this gross looking dude who's turning into a fly, and then him wanting to mutate him, his girlfriend, and her unborn child into a one human being. Come on, that was horror. That's classic horror right there. This dude just don't get it. So Margaret A. McGurk from the South Florida Sun Sentinel, she wrote, a classic combination of the romantic and the macabre is about to set moviegoers abuzz the rest of the summer. It's The Fly, a remake, but it's accomplished with a brisk and chilling new inspiration. Yep, she's right. I agree. I concur with what she wrote. And then Pat Graham from the Chicago Reader, he wrote, image so much subverts intention that Goldblum's tragic fly person finally seems more ludicrous than affecting, voyeuristically bizarre. So this is a dude that he saw the fly. He was like, "Oh my god, I'm grossed out," and that's what he wrote. That's because he was grossed out. But it's a horror movie. What do you think was going to happen? So who read the last one?
Dave Kerr.
Yeah, I think that's
from
right.
Chicago Tribune. The fly seizes on our ingrained, instinctive horror of sexuality, the sense of shame that are mentality,
I think it's fundamentally.
Fundamentally
puritanical.
Society can't help but teach us by confirming our worst fears, help us for a moment to move on beyond them.
Basically, he's society believes sex is gross, and the fly kind of seizes on that, and he's showing us. It's kind of throwing it back at society's faces. It's like, oh, you think sex is gross? Well, watch this. I think that's what he's saying in this highfalutin language.
Also, you know what? Since I think about it, I'm pretty sure the other female's pregnant too, but they just don't go back to her on about it.
You know what? That's probably they did make a sequel to this movie. Maybe that's what that was about. Because what's her name? Veronica got abortion right away, but or maybe she didn't because I never saw.
Yeah,
the fly
they never.
Too. And apparently, because I believe it's a horrible movie. I'm not going to try and verify that, but I believe it's a horrible movie. I don't think Gina Davis is actually even in that movie, but they did make a sequel that probably went direct to DVD. But yeah, she could very well have been pregnant, and she probably did decide she was going to have that baby, and the baby probably was a fly human thingy. So, but I would like to think that that the Veronica character went on ahead and carried out the abortion because she didn't know what she was going to have, and she shouldn't have to take that. I mean, that's like a risky pregnancy at least, right? So The Fly, finally we get to the end. So finally, The Fly is, as of this recording, available on AMC. The next episode is Tremors, also available on AMC. So, one last time, if you like this show, then please help us grow. To do this, you can rate us, or you can write a review. You can hit the subscribe button on whatever podcast you listen to. That includes Apple Podcasts or Podchaser.com, or whichever. And you can share and show someone, tell people that you listen to this podcast, you thoroughly enjoy it, and we can grow that way too. You can use a hashtag or the @ Backlook Cinema on your favorite social media sites. That also helps.
Yeah, and don't forget, you can contact us at fanmail@backlookcinema.com.
Believe me, it matters. Be safe, hug your loved ones, and be outstanding.